Oh shit.
My son is hungry. My son is hungry. You gotta eat. My son is
Hey,
hungry.
it's cool.
My son is hungry.
It's cool.
I don't have the fucking money.
It's good.
My son is hungry. No. Shit.
Wait, what do you want?
Shit. No. My son is hungry.
How much is it?
I'm gonna steal. I don't care. I'm gonna
How much
take
is it?
it.
How much is it?
I'm gonna take it.
Hey, I'll pay for it.
My son is hungry.
I'll pay
He
for
is
it.
hungry. We took everything from me today.
I just wanted to make a really quick video here about this situation. This video that I seen on Instagram, and it looks like a woman was attempting to steal some food in a grocery store, and one of the employees, or possibly the manager, came and took the bag out of her hand, and she started screaming that her son is hungry. Her son is hungry. She doesn't care. She's gonna steal. And my heart is completely shattered for the young man. My heart is completely shattered for him because they're both victims, actually. They're both victims. His mother is a victim to being brought into this existence, to the point that now she is unable to afford food for herself and her child. And then she brought another poor soul into existence, and now she's having to steal in order for him to survive. And antinatalism is not about committing suicide. It's not about hating children. We actually have compassion for children and for human beings, because this life is so unpredictable that at any moment anything can happen, and the life is very fragile. So at what point do we come to the realization that we need to just end this shit? We need to just end it. If his mother, the woman in the video shouting, if she would have ended her bloodline, she would not have to steal in order to feed her son. She would not have the guilt of her son starving on her consciousness. And if she had to starve because she herself was unable to afford to eat, then she would be the only victim in her situation. But she has now brought in another poor soul to be a victim in this life. Now that young man is going to have to work 3 times as hard in order to correct the mistake of his mother and his ancestors, who have continued this cycle of reproducing and suffering. And I really hope that he definitely rises out of poverty and he vows to never reproduce and bring another poor innocent soul into this existence, unless he can 100% completely care for the child for the rest of the child's life. Really, it shouldn't be until 18, because you bring somebody into existence and then you force them to do a bunch of things that they've never asked to do just to be able to survive, when you are the one that brought them here for your own entertainment and your own wishes and desires. So people should really be responsible for their children up into the age that their children decides to get married on their own, or their children ends up having children of their own. Now, you know, a lot of people feel like, you know, antinatalism is eugenics, and it's really not. because we are against everyone having children, not just a certain group of people. But in this case, I'm just going to have to call a spade, because either a situation happened to the mother to where she can no longer afford to feed her child. Either she lost a job, either she lost her spouse, either her spouse has passed away, or she lives paycheck to paycheck. I'm not sure what her situation is, and I really don't want to get too deep into that, because regardless of her situation, it's always going to lead back to just not bringing somebody into existence. Just don't even do it. If you cannot single-handedly 100% take care of a child, don't even bring them into existence. If you don't have $400 to get an abortion, you definitely shouldn't be bringing anyone into existence. If you cannot afford a loaf of bread on your own, you should not be bringing anyone into existence. You should not be procreating with anyone. That goes for male or female. Gender does not matter in this situation. Now, if the store decides that they're going to call the police on this woman, she's going to be enslaved through the prison system, and her son is going to be enslaved in the rat race system. Both will be upholding the corrupt elite system that allows the elite, the wealthy 1% of the world, to live comfortably off our blood, sweat, tears, and energy. So who's going to be courageous and bold enough to say enough is enough? This shit ends here with me. Who? Who's going to be bold enough to say, you know what, I'm going to live this life shit. I'm going to ride the wave as best as I can. Work on myself as best as I can. Work on myself as much as I can. Ride this bitch till the wheels falls off. But I'm not bringing somebody else into this that's going to have to just struggle and struggle and struggle with wants, needs, desires. And struggle having to work and be enslaved in this system. Who's going to be bold enough to say, I don't need to procreate in order to have loving, fulfilling relationships in this life? Who's going to be courageous enough to say, you know what, I can take care of myself when I get older. And if I even get to the point that I can no longer take care of myself, I will either look to hire someone or look for a different option, or just allow myself to die the fuck out, because that's what we're going to do anyways, die. But I will not bring another being into existence. Are we going to be willing to sacrifice ourselves for the next generation, so that the next generation doesn't have to come into existence and do all the shit we've already done, but have to work 10 times harder to get to where we've been to, or where their ancestors have been to? Because this life is just going to continuously get harder and harder. I don't know if it's just obvious to me, or if it's obvious to everyone else, but I can see that this life is just going to get harder and harder, especially the more we continue to populate this earth with so many people. We were not born to live one on top of the other. We were not meant to be sitting in traffic, driving bumper to bumper on top of one another. It's not how life is supposed to be. We were not supposed to be doing all of this competing for jobs. We were not supposed to be competing for resources. We were not meant to live this way. When are we going to come to the realization that this is not for us? When are we going to come to the realization that we're being used? When are we going to come to the realization that you're constantly being programmed to keep this wheel spinning? I'm out.